Yeah, it's about $1,500 to $1,800 a month to live on a beautiful island in Thailand. Number one, the beautiful beaches and also delicious food. I had just finished a motorbike trip and I was going through Tinder. Long story short, that's why I moved to Thailand. And then I just did whatever it took to stay in Thailand because I just feel much happier there. It's not for everyone. Even better if you can have a remote job lined up or something you can do online. And it's a little bit hard to leave the island. They do have the international airport, but the flights can be a bit expensive. And also cost of living is going up. I'm partially to blame for that, I will say, because I've been posting a lot, mostly on Facebook, and including the YouTube channel. And it's just getting, millions and millions of views every single month.
Hey, I'm Evan.
Mike.
Nice to meet you, man. Introduce yourself. Let me know a little about you.
Okay, so yeah, my name's Mike. Been living in Thailand for 5 years now.
You're on Samui. You have a Thai partner.
Thai partner, yeah. We've been together 4 years. Met online, similar to like you were saying with your wife.
Let's dive right into your cost of living abroad.
Sure.
What do you spend breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and your sort of every day, and then for the month?
So you say you discovered me through my interview on Retire Working for You. That was about 2 years ago.
I think so, yeah.
So back then I was living on, that was 2 years ago, so about $1,000 a month. And key point was that was for both me and my fiance.
Yeah.
So two people, very cheap. But now obviously the costs have risen and they're continuing to creep up as more tourists come into Samui. So now I'd say on average monthly I spend about 50,000 a month.
50,000 baht.
50,000 baht. So in dollars that's $1,500 a month, roughly. Give or take,
roughly
sometimes more, sometimes less.
Okay, so in 2 years your cost of living has gone up 50%.
Roughly. Generally, like we go out to eat maybe 5 or 6 times a week.
So pretty
often. Yeah.
So what's a weekly grocery bill look like?
Groceries, honestly, we don't really go to the grocery store all that often. Occasionally, maybe once a week, we'll go to the grocery store, and that'll typically run around 2,000 baht. 2,000 baht a week. So that's about $60 US.
About $60 US. Okay, so it's about $30 is about 1,000 baht.
Coffee.
What's the cost, a sort of casual meal out for you and your partner versus the cost of like your fancy night out or your...
Sure. So casual night out could be anywhere just like 150 to 200 baht for both of us. So that's just going out to like a local, nothing special restaurant in town or something. Versus, going out for a date night, maybe going to Italian restaurant, getting some pizza, spaghetti, something along these lines. That could be 500, 600 baht, $15 to $18 roughly.
I mean, still extremely affordable.
Very affordable.
Still extremely affordable.
Yeah, exactly.
By any sort of...
Maybe mix in some drinks too.
I did we just spent a night in Samui to catch the boat to Koh Samui full moon kind of jag. It was my original backpacker, like Khao San Road, overnight bus to Samui, party, up to the most stereotypical banana pancake trail backpacker thing. But I do remember...
Long time ago.
Very long time ago. But, it was quite developed then. I'd say even then it was significantly more developed than most parts of Vietnam.
You should see it now, though. It's just getting to be a bit too much.
Yeah.
It's a little sad to see, actually. There's another YouTuber, Ride with Gabby. I don't know if you follow him. No. He just made a video about the beginning of the end for Samui. How it can be turned into another Phuket because of all the overdevelopment. You got to take the good with the best. It's still a beautiful island.
Total food and beverage costs per month between the $60 groceries and the 5 or 6 meals out. What's your number?
I'd say about 10,000 baht.
10,000 baht
per month.
It's about $300 US.
Roughly $300. Yeah.
And that
includes everything for 2 people. Yeah. Key point right there.
Okay, so that's really good. And I think that's comparable to here. So Thailand sometimes gets a rep as being more expensive than Vietnam. For a couple that includes one expat, or any couple that's doing some mix of local and Western food, I think you'd be hard pressed to go under $300 a month here.
For a couple.
Person-to-person outdoor subscriptions. Do you go to a gym? Do you pay for yoga sessions?
So actually, I should be going to yoga, but I haven't been to yoga for years. Even though there's a famous yoga studio in Samui called Vakasa. They have some pretty attractive instructors there too, but I just never go. It's got a beautiful view from there. But usually I just go for the gym membership. I actually don't have a gym membership. I There happens to be this gym on a little fishing island in Samui with an incredible view. It's open air. They've recently like renovated the place. So I just use that, and you leave a donation, any amount you want, 20, 40 baht.
Well, that sounds good.
Equipment's not great, but what do you expect? It's basically a free gym. Did go into a Bangkok hospital recently for a full checkup. They were running some special promotion, and that was like 1,900 baht. So
$60.
just under $60.
Yeah, so I mean, even say you do that, say you do a dental,
It's one of the best hospitals in Thailand.
a dental and a medical check once a year, 150 bucks. You're talking about $12 a month. Sure, we'll add $12 to your total, just cause.
Okay,
We gotta
sounds
keep.
good.
I like popping up graphics. I like to pop up the numbers.
For the visas, I'm currently doing the visas, which I maybe shouldn't get into, but...
Yeah, okay, so let's dive right back into the visa explanation.
Yeah,
Sorry
sure.
to have interrupted.
So I don't want to get into too much detail about this, but I am currently still on visa exemption. So basically that will allow you to stay for 60 days. They are going to be rolling that back, I think starting May 1st. Might be good for your viewers to know. They're going to reduce it from 60 down to 30 days, I believe starting on May 1st, the visa exemption. If you're coming to Thailand and you're in one of those however many countries, you're most likely going to get 30 days starting May 1st.
So are you doing bi-monthly visa runs?
So right now I'm doing the 60 days plus 30, so I can just go to immigration and extend that an additional 30 days for 1,900 baht. Then I have to do the border run.
Okay, and
down to Malaysia.
Down to Kuala Lumpur, you fly or?
No, we actually just do, it's like a 6-hour border run to Malaysia. I use a visa agent.
And take a bus.
Yeah, people get on the bus, and that way you're pretty much they're guaranteed to get you back in.
Right.
And then you just have to pay a little bit extra for that. So I think total for the border runs is like 3,900 baht. So total...
almost 6,000 baht.
6,000 baht every 3 months.
Wow, that's a huge cost.
It is a big expense.
That's interesting because...
So...
oh, wow. What is that in USD? That's
$200. $200 every 3 months.
Very close to $200 US.
For the border run plus the extension. Which is, I'm getting really tired of it at this point. I've been doing this for maybe a year now.
It's $800. It's $800 a year.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh,
sounds about right.
Oh my goodness.
So now, one of the reasons I came to Vietnam, not only for Nomad Fest, which maybe I'll mention later, but also because I've applied for my DTV visa, which is the Destination Thailand visa. You probably know about it already. That's a 5-year, essentially digital nomad visa. And then you leave every 6 months, maybe take a trip. I could come to Vietnam, or I could go to Japan or whatever, any number of places, and then just do that every 6 months. And that really solves the headaches of doing these border runs.
Yeah, I think
it's getting very annoying.
And I think do you have a full explainer video on the DTV?
I do. I was actually one of the first YouTubers to make a video about it.
I've definitely watched your video on that,
Cool.
So I'll link that below too.
Excellent.
To Mike Abroad's YouTube channel, and you can watch the full, thorough DTV Thailand visa explanation on his channel.
Yep. And I will say that actually the first time I applied, my application was rejected, and I did that in Hanoi, at the consulate in Hanoi. And basically I just made one small typo on my application, and it was rejected within 2 days. Non-refundable, so you don't get the money back.
How much is the cost?
$340.
It's expensive application, but it's 5 years?
It's a 5-year visa.
So it ends up being less than
6 months at a
$70 a year.
So it's still very affordable. So then I
Extremely
basically
affordable.
just reapplied. I sucked it up. I paid the cost again. And that one is getting very close. I've only got like another 3 more days here in Vietnam. So hopefully.
Good luck. I'm sure it'll work out. What's the income requirement, or what's the?
It's 500,000 baht. So that's roughly $16,000.
Oh, that's.
Luckily, I was able to get access to the funds. Just put it into a Wise account. You have to upload a bunch of documents, including proof of funds.
It's not an annual income like a digital nomad visa in Europe. It's a chunk of money in the bank.
That's right.
Oh, like Malaysia.
It's similar to like a retirement visa.
Right.
You just need to show the proof of funds in the bank. That's like the number one thing they're looking for.
Okay.
And then you also need to register your company. So basically just registered a company in the States, in Wyoming. Uploaded that, and then they just need to see like salary payment slips too. YouTube and Facebook, for example.
Talked about using Wise.
Yes.
I use
Yes.
Wise constantly.
I love Wise.
I'm a
It's
big
great.
referrer of Wise.
Uh-huh.
My most popular video just happened, I didn't know it was going to do so well, obviously. You never do.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
literally
sure.
have a direct pitch for Wise in it,
Oh,
which is great. A lot of Americans comment that Americans specifically can't use a Wise card in Vietnam.
well, I actually have.
You're an American in Vietnam
Yeah.
with a Wise card right now.
I
Does yours
have a
work?
Wise card
Yeah,
right here.
yeah, dude, I do too.
But I can't use it for anything. Even in Thailand, if I scan with this,
You can't.
It doesn't work.
Okay, so that's interesting because
Yeah, it
I
doesn't
use this
work.
card everywhere, and everyone's going to think this is a pitch. So it is. I'll put the affiliate link below, but apparently not for Americans.
Really?
So yours doesn't work.
I can't use it anywhere. Even if I try to hook it up to like Google Pay,
That's
whatever, I
unfortunate.
can't hook it up there either to scan with my phone.
Yeah, I have mine with Google Pay. I
It
tap.
works for my
It's
friend
amazing.
Bill, the Canadian guy. I went on the.
Yeah, it works for Canadians for sure, but not
Works for him, but it doesn't work for me.
Oh, that's so disappointing. So what do you use as
I
an
don't-
alternative? Do you use Revolut or Reap or something like that?
I've heard of Revolut, but I don't have a card. I have a PayPal card as well, but I can't use that either. So I just have a Thai bank account.
You have a Thai
and I
bank
use the Thai bank account for everything.
Let's wrap it up. What's the total monthly spend and budget for you and your Thai fiance in Koh Samui 2025?
So on a monthly basis, we spend around anywhere from about 50,000 to 60,000 baht a month. There's a little bit of wiggle room there, but generally speaking, yeah, it's about $1,500 to $1,800 a month to live on a beautiful island in Thailand.
Now we'll jump into the more quality of life talk and sort of the broader, emotional, social costs of living abroad. But I would say, even if you can find somewhere, and there are places where you can live on $1,000 or less a month, and it's part of the SEO and YouTube, and it's real here in Da Nang and Hoi An.
Sure, I would think so.
I would still, and I do, if I talk to people who are consultants, I still strongly suggest you have at least a couple thousand a month of income, which could be a pension, could be something else. But if you're at a point where you have less than a few $1,000s coming in a month, you probably need to work on that before you relocate.
Yeah, I mean, I was in that position for quite some time, right? I was just barely scraping by and getting up my online income going. But now, luckily, it's to a level where I feel pretty comfortable. Could be even better, obviously. Always can be. I would recommend, before you take off and you just move abroad, have a little bit of saving.
Yeah.
That's one of the mistakes that I made.
I only had
before I left.
5,000, which 5,000 Canadian too, which at the time was closer to parity, but it's about 3,500 bucks US. I only had that much when I moved to Saigon. I had a job, a contract signed at a school, and a job sponsoring me to come over. So they were paying
excellent.
for flights, medical insurance. They gave me a SIM card.
Wow.
And they helped pay for the original 12-month visa or whatever, right? So
that's a good position to be in.
yeah, and I think either of those positions, right? Either finances as security or guaranteed income in the place you're arriving as security.
Yeah.
But I do think the biggest recommendation for you is make sure you have
A nest egg.
Yeah, or have more coming in than what you know is going to be going out, right?
Sure. Yep, that's a good point. So I just picked Phuket, Thailand out on a map and flew into Phuket. And that was, shortly before the pandemic. And then I just did whatever it took to stay in Thailand because I just feel much happier there. Just like more of a sense of belonging and peace in my life. I like the culture a lot better. It's mostly Buddhist. Long story short, that's why I moved to Thailand.
Did the cost of living come into play?
Cost of living for sure.
If it's originally you're $1,000 a month in Samui, now you're $1,500. To live the lifestyle you're living today for $1,500 in Samui, what would it cost you in Austin, Texas?
Also a question that Chris asked me.
It's a must know.
Yeah, sure. Nowadays, I don't even know. I haven't been back for so many years. I would say comparable quality of life in Austin to Samui would probably be around $4,500 a month, almost 4 times the cost. And then you're in Austin and there's just a concrete jungle. You don't have easy access to beautiful beaches. All of the amenities that Samui provides, beautiful hotels, if you want to take a little staycation or something. Yeah, I mean, it's completely different. There's no comparison.
If you do it in the year, you're saying about $18,000 a year for Samui versus $55,000 a year.
Yeah.
Austin.
And I would say that would even be on the low end. 55,000 is probably a lot more than that, because a lot of people are making 100K and they're still just getting by. It's also this lifestyle creep too. The lifestyle creep where you make more, you spend more, and it just keeps going like that in a cycle.
I think that's happened in Toronto, where I'm from. You know, if you're earning 100,000 Canadian dollars, after your tax rate, your take home is probably around 60 or 65.
Because of the taxes are exorbitant, huh?
Yeah. For the baby boomers, the answer is yes. But for millennials and Gen Zers, are you getting your money's worth with 35 to 40% tax rate?
I would say absolutely not.
And
my friend Josh is a professor. He's my neighbor. He's from Vancouver. And he teaches for 3 universities in Canada. And he's now lost 2 of his jobs. So he's down to 1 now. And he's doing that remotely from Samui, which is kind of crazy to me. Hours are all flipped around. But he said like almost all of his students are either from India or Hong Kong.
and they're paying higher tuition rates in Canada.
Yeah.
To pay for a prof who's now living in Thailand.
That's such a backward system.
That is such a broken system, right? How do you make your money abroad? How do you make money living abroad?
Yeah, so long story short, it's mostly just YouTube and Facebook. And that's actually what I talked about in my speech at Vietnam Nomad Fest, how I'm making money on Facebook and YouTube. And that they just pay me every single month.
I'm sure that the people watching this are more than intrigued by that. So can you give them the sort of the Cole's notes or the 60-second abbreviated talk to which you delivered at Nomad Fest?
Well, first of all, I will say that it's taken me like 9 years to grow the following on Facebook. So not an overnight success by any means, but yeah, basically I can monetize my content. Similar to what you would be doing on YouTube, where the ads are running on your videos and you're just getting revenue every month. Facebook has a similar program, monetization program, where you can just get paid based on basically the number of views your content's getting. And if you're getting, you know, let's say millions of views every month, it can turn into a pretty decent amount. And it really kind of varies from month to month.
Is that video-based content, tutorials? Tell them, just imagine you're talking to someone who has no idea who you are, what you do. I mean, I certainly do, but you know, for the person who has no idea what the Mike Abroad business model is.
Yeah.
What is your content about Samui? What are you educating people on?
So it's not really educational content, it's more like entertainment. Essentially, a lot of my videos are just walking tours. Very simple. I don't do a lot of editing. I just, you know, take out my phone. This is how I shoot almost everything. Then I also have a little Pocket 3 here now as well, which is I'm going to be using more often. Just take out my phone and let's say I'm going for a walk on the beach, make a little video, 15 to 60 seconds, put it up as a reel. Sometimes it gets a lot of views, sometimes it doesn't get very many. Just doing something really, really simple like that, especially if you have a decent number of followers on Facebook, can do quite well.
2 food content guys who've spent a lot of time in Vietnam, Chris Lewis and Max McFarlane. You know, they both have huge followings on YouTube, but I know that both of them make more of their income off Facebook.
Yeah.
And it's because of where, like geographically, where their audience is located. Like in Vietnam, for example, the saturation of Facebook is very, very high. So where are most of your sort of viewers or your audience from?
Good question. So a lot of them are US, Canada, then also UK. A lot of them are watching from UK, Australia, Germany, these sorts of countries.
Okay.
And then also Thailand, of course, as well. But I would say the majority are from US.
I've also noticed when I look at your YouTube channel, at the Mike Abroad channel, sometimes when it comes up in my feed, you have a shop and you have booked like 3 books will come up right direct under your video. So
I'm glad you noticed.
Yeah, how does that work?
You can do this as well since you have over 10,000 subscribers. You can basically get into the YouTube shopping program. Then you can sell either your own digital products or affiliate products through like Lazada and Shopee.
Okay.
So I played around with the affiliate products, but I wasn't getting any sales. So I just decided, why not just sell my own ebooks?
Okay.
So I put those up there now for sale. And they're about $20 an ebook.
Okay. And how's that going?
Not well.
Not well?
Not well, surprisingly. Getting a lot of views, like people checking out my site, but they're not actually buying the ebooks for some reason.
Interesting.
And so I think it's just going to take a while, like anything.
Well, what are the books on?
Well, one of them is Facebook Income Blueprint. That's basically how to monetize your content on Facebook. And then I got YouTube Success Blueprint, how to start and scale a YouTube channel, the Digital Nomad Handbook, how to become a digital nomad.
Well, I guess so. Yeah, if any of you are interested literally in the logistics or sort of the back-end blueprint of what we've been talking about, definitely check out those links on Mike's channel. Check
Please
out
do.
one of his ebooks. Have you lived in any other countries than Thailand and the States?
Not full time.
No.
So it's really just U.S., Thailand. Those
Okay.
are the only countries I've lived in long term.
So let's get into the pros of living in Thailand, maybe Samui specifically, and then after your top three. If you had to tell someone who's never been to Koh Samui, these are the three reasons why you need to come here right now.
I would say the three reasons to visit or even live as an expat in Samui. Number one, the beautiful beaches. There's a lot of beautiful beaches. I live very close to Lamai Beach, which I would say is one of my favorite beaches on the island. And also delicious food, lots of different foods to choose from. I love Thai food. That's another reason. And then also number three is the friendly people. So everyone's generally speaking, very friendly in Thailand. I've found they're even more friendly here in Vietnam, surprisingly enough, which is hard to believe, but...
What about the cons of Samui?
Okay, cons. It's getting, I would say, like I was talking about before the interview, a little bit too overdeveloped now. It's a bit out of control, actually. They're just like knocking down all the palm trees and to build more villas and big trucks coming through all the time. So I would say like overdevelopment is an issue for sure. And then also just the number of tourists coming to the island, getting more and more busy. And also cost of living is going up because more tourists that are coming can obviously rise the prices of rentals. And a lot of times you can't even find a place to stay now. It's just all fully booked, getting so busy.
I remember, having been to Bangkok on and off for 2 decades, going to Bangkok in 2023 or whatever, when it was the most visited city on earth, and it was
Still is.
Is it still? It was visibly noticeable. It was like,
Yeah.
it felt like the equivalent to like being in Europe in summer. It was just like, there are more tourists here on Sukhumvit than there are Thai people.
Yeah.
Like in a literal way, and it's a massive city, not like a remote island like Samui, right? So
that's kind of how I feel about Koh Phangan, which is the next island over. It's a little bit more hippie. That's
the full moon party,
is. And it just seems like there's all foreigners there. I sometimes refer to it as Koh Pharang.
Yeah.
Because
Koh
Pharang
Pharang
is the other word for foreigner.
Yeah, I like that.
And the only Thai people or Burmese people you see are like working in the kitchen or the hotel. But otherwise, it's just all foreigners. So I don't like that so much.
I used to live in Mexico. That was the first place I lived abroad. And there, on the coast especially, there are parts of Mexico like that. And you see me, it made me uncomfortable then, and it makes me uncomfortable now. It's an odd thing.
Yeah.
And I think parts of the Caribbean are like that too, right?
I
like
would say for
parts
sure.
of the coast in Jamaica and Barbados, where it's like, what is this? What is this that's happening? So
yeah, Mexico too, like Tulum.
Yes, Tulum, exactly. That and Mujer de Isla, all that stuff.
Yeah.
How do you feel treated by locals and Thais on Samui? What is it? Do you feel tensions now as a Farang in Samui, or what do you?
I wouldn't say tensions, but I do see that the smiles are starting to fade a little bit of the Thai people because they're just getting maybe a little bit sick and tired of the foreigners all the time. So that's one thing I've noticed. Like if you go into a 7-Eleven, there's a guy in there wearing no shirt, which is a little bit disrespectful to the culture.
Yeah.
But people do it all the time anyway. And then you see the cashier like at night and she's just exhausted, right?
Yeah.
That's one thing I'm noticing.
Yeah, maybe some burnout with the customer service culture.
Yeah, can start to see that creeping up.
We were talking a little bit about the sort of tension, or whether it's there or not, about how locals feel with more and more foreigners or tourists around Samui. What do you think about how has the language barrier affected you? I know for my audience, they're always worried about that coming to Vietnam. For English-speaking foreigners, expats, retirees looking at Samui.
The language barrier is probably one of the biggest challenges that I have. It's just because, and I feel a bit guilty about this, I've been there 5 years, right? But I don't speak Thai. Just very, very basic, sweaty kap, kambu kap, sabai mai, these sorts of things. Very basic vocabulary. So yeah, the language barrier can be a bit challenging, but I would say nothing worse than here. In Vietnam, I would say a little bit better actually, because most people speak passable English.
Well, and there's, especially on Samui, it's a tourism-based economy,
Yes.
right? And
then the hotels, they all speak English.
And you've met a fiance somehow, so
Yeah.
how did that come about? How did you make friends? How do you socialize or meet other people? And how did you start dating in Samui?
Sure. So I actually met Mary up in Chiang Mai.
Okay.
I had just finished a motorbike trip, and I was going through Tinder,
Yeah.
and she popped right up, and then we really hit it off. So then I kept traveling back and forth between Bangkok and Samui, because she had a job in Samui, right? So she worked there full time. And then eventually I'm like, I really want to make this work. So I decided to move to Samui
Okay.
specifically to be with her. And she ended up quitting her job, finding a new job where she's happier now at a school, teaching little kids.
Beautiful.
So now we've been together 4 years.
So this is,
The rest is history.
yeah. And I feel like this is exactly why you do a long form interview, because it takes an hour to find out the real reason you moved to Samui.
Oh, yeah.
Was because you
That's
fell
for sure
in
for a
love.
girl, of course. That's how it usually goes, right?
Absolutely. Oh, I love that. That is too good.
Yeah.
What do you think the biggest misconceptions? Yeah, what are the biggest misconceptions about Thailand or Samui in particular that foreigners have before they get there?
Well, maybe they think it's going to be like just a paradise, right? No problems. But everywhere has its problems. So it's not.
What do you think what are some of the struggles of living in paradise then for yourself?
Well, first of all, it's kind of like I have a friend who's bought a condo in Samui. It's like almost $1 million for this condo. And he lived in the States for many years, and then he's originally from Poland, actually. And now he's trying to sell that condo because he's not happy there. Even though it's got the most spectacular view you've ever seen, he's still not happy. He's told me before that he feels like he's living in a golden cage. That's how he explains it. And to me, it just doesn't make sense, right? It's like, you've got this amazing place, and he wants to sell it, right? So his reasoning for that is that it's just he feels cooped up, and it's a little bit hard to leave the island once you're there, right? They do have the international airport, but the flights can be a bit expensive unless you've got the resident card. So basically you live there full time, you have a house. And then the only other way to leave is to take a ferry to the mainland.
Okay.
So it can be a bit isolating, I guess.
Maybe like the feeling of living in a fishbowl, or
like a fishbowl, or maybe sometimes people get island fever.
Is he single?
Oh, this guy?
Yeah.
No, he's been married for 40 years.
Oh.
50 years.
And his wife's there at the house?
Yeah, they're both Polish.
Oh, and they still don't.
Miserable too. I don't understand.
Yeah, I wonder, maybe it's
It's like, what?
Maybe it's an integration
More
thing.
money, more problems.
I think single or I guess couples too can feel really lonely when you relocate. I mean,
Yeah.
my wife and I have felt the struggle of leaving Saigon to Da Nang and having to reincorporate into social life and stuff. So for the person who's sort of standing in the doorway, as Irene said in our last interview, and they're thinking about stepping through the doorway and making their first move abroad, actually starting living abroad. What would be a piece of advice for that person?
Well, like we mentioned earlier in the interview, I would say have a couple $1,000s saved up, preferably more than 10,000. It's even better. That way you have something to fall back on if you run out. Like, I've run out of money a bunch of times in Thailand, and I just somehow, some way make more. But it's not for everyone, this entrepreneur path. I would recommend, just having some money saved up before you take off. Just, pick a place, right? Go to a place, try it out for 2 or 3 months, see what you think of the place. If it clicks with you, then you can stay there, or, worst case scenario is you just go back to your home country, try again another time.
If you've done the math to figure out what your monthly cost of living is going to be, and you have minimum 6 months to a year cost of living, enough to know that if it doesn't work out when you go to the place, you can return home and find work.
Exactly. And even better if you can have a remote job lined up or something you can do online.
100%.
That just, that checks all the boxes.
And and that can be your pension or it can be dividends. Yeah. I couldn't agree more. The first step for me is, do you have income? If someone comes to me asking questions about relocating here or wants to consult, it's not a question for the consultation, it's a screener. Like, do you have income? If you don't have income yet, you're not ready.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Come on a trip. You're ready for a vacation or a scouting trip. You're not ready to move abroad if you don't have income. No.
Especially if you have no savings too. Then that's no income, no savings.
The double
You're
X.
screwed.
Yeah, then you're gonna end up on Koh Samui Road.
Yeah. Been there, done that.
Boy Bien Road in Saigon. Before we wrap up, I like to do a little thing at the end of the Cost of Living Abroad pod where I ask you as a guest, what's something I didn't ask you about your cost of living abroad, whether it's financial or emotional, that I can ask the next guest?
Oh, okay. Interesting. Do you feel like you made the right decision or not? In hindsight being 2020, would you do it over again, right? To actually leave and move full-time abroad?
One of the questions that I was asked, a guy named Eddie asked, and his interview isn't live yet. Eddie asked, what's the one, I'm asking this for real, what's the one thing you're not doing that you know you should be doing right now?
Oh.
Yeah, that's the exact response I had when he said
Okay.
it, right? I was like,
ooh, that's a tough one. Well, one thing is getting married. This is the one I keep putting off, keep putting it off. And there's really not that many excuses at this point.
Okay.
So that would be my answer, is just getting married.
That's a fantastic answer.
As a growing up person.
It's real. It's it's a life
Stop
stage.
procrastinating, you know?
Yeah, it's a life stage and about your own sort of self-process and maturity, but it's also about, I think for a lot of Westerners too, it signals a shift where you go from friends or social life as priority, family, which is also a big East-West thing, right? In the East, family is always the most important social network, and you know, I hope for you when you get married and maybe have kids or become part of your wife's family, that's something you really can embrace, you know? Awesome.
Well, cool.
Thank you so much for coming on, Mike. That was great.
Sure.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that.
Good talk. Thanks so much for listening.
Thank you all so much for listening. Full interview is up here. You can click over my shoulder. You can subscribe to the Evan A channel, my main channel here, or the Cost of Living Abroad channel, where every Sunday night in Bangkok, a new episode goes live. We appreciate it, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with the people.
Thanks for having me on the show.